men in their lives to go and do their prostate screening. Well, the men have responded because now annually we have sometimes as many as 600 and 700 men going to be screened at that annual event. We're asking our men now to do the same for their women folk, their mothers, their sisters, their loved ones, to encourage them to go and access the mammogram screening that is now for free at the Alexandra Hospital. For the rest of the year, it is free. So we have 6 months. And they say if it's free, take 2. You don't have to do 2. You just have to do 1. But please go and do your screening. So we encourage you to do the right thing in that regard. The Nevis Nurses Association celebrated a week of activities under the theme, Our Nurses, Our Future, We Make a Difference. I'm told that they had a wonderful event, week of events, and Minister Janet Nisbet, she would have given the annual Nurses Day address in recognition of International Nurses Day. We, of course, continue to applaud our nurses for the Herculean effort in healthcare here on the island of Nevis. On Friday, the 12th of May, we received 3 cribs and 3 bedside tables from the Pediatric Assistant League, PALS of St. Kitts. These were distributed to the Maternity Ward, Cotton Ground Health Center, and Combermere Health Center. The ministry wishes to register our profound thanks to PALS for this generous donation. The health center's spaces conducive to the advancement of physical, social, and cognitive development project. That's a long name for this project. It was launched on the 15th of May at the Brownhill Health Center. The project is being piloted in 2 health centers, Brownhill and Combermere. The goals are to maximize the opportunity presented during infant and toddler clinics to teach parents about developmental milestones and to actively engage children in child-friendly spaces while they wait to foster healthy development. The ministry expresses gratitude to UNICEF, the development partners on this project. The Health Promotion Unit recently concluded the first ever Inter-High Health Quiz on the 19th of May 2023 in collaboration with the Ministry of Education. Gingerland Secondary School emerged the winners of the quiz, and Miss Makila Lewis of GSS was the MVP. The Health Promotion Unit officers took part in a risk communication training on Tuesday, 23rd May in St. Kitts. The training was facilitated by Dr. Charles Array, consultant for the Pan-American Health Organization, PAHO, in collaboration with the Ministries of Health. Risk communication, and community engagement are key components of emergency response that all countries should have to respond to health threats. A 3-day HIV and syphilis master training virtual course commenced from the May 9th to 11th, and again, members of the Health Promotion Unit were involved in that training. The ICDF Metabolic Disease Program, in collaboration with the Health Promotion Unit, we conducted a series of non-communicable diseases screenings for the month of May at various businesses and community groups. Combermere Methodist Church Health Fair and Best Buy Supermarket are examples. Now, members of the public may not know that at our Alexandra Hospital, we now have specialized clinics on different days. And they've asked me to remind the public that those days are as follows. Pediatric on Mondays at 10 a.m., internal medicine for new patients, Tuesdays at 10 a.m., orthopedics, Wednesdays at 11 a.m., internal medicine for follow-up patients, Thursday at 10 a.m., and obstetrics and gynecology, Fridays at 10 a.m. The pricing for the appointments, adult patients 18 years and over, $60 EC, pediatric patients $40 EC. Mr. Rajesh Raghu and Ms. Gianna Indra Singh, 2 CARFA consultants, facilitated an in-country training workshop for the Federation of Environmental Health and Vector Control Officers from May 15th to 19th. I'm very happy that this training involved technology using GIS, Geographic Information System technology, and that a team from Nevis was able to participate by going to St. Kitts and being part of this training. The SKN Moves Nevis chapter in association with the ICDF Taiwan, Ministry of Health, and the Shaw program hosted a free health screening on Friday, May 19th at the Cotton Ginnery Mall. Over 40 persons benefited from that screening. Whenever you see these things pop up, when you go to the supermarket, take a few moments and get screened, because they screen you for blood pressure, BMI, blood sugar, etc. It's a good opportunity for you to know your status. On Friday, May 13th, the Gender Affairs Department launches official logo after receiving 15 submissions. Congratulations to Mr. Michael Morton, the winner of the competition. And then, in recognition of the International Day of the Boy Child, celebrated on May 16th under the theme Boys Too, Embrace, Empower, Elevate, the Gender Affairs Department awarded several boys across the school system the Boy of Excellence Award. Charleston Primary, Cameron Forbes. Joycean Liebert Primary, Nyanje Liebert. Ivor Walters Primary, Zaire Jeffers. Elizabeth Pemberton Primary, Kyan Blake. Maud Cross Preparatory, Julio Gonzalez. Nevis Academy, Zuri Wade. Charleston Secondary, Kosani Hanley. Gingerland Secondary, Jordan Liebert. Nevis International Secondary, Mayor Daswani. St. James Primary, Aiden Gager. Montessori Academy, Abhijit Srinivasan. Cecily Brown Integrated, Hildred Ross. St. Thomas's Primary, Nathan Polias. Viogen Primary, Dijon Philip. Other activities include an address by Minister Janelle Nisbet to recognize the day and a panel discussion which was held on Wednesday 17th on the topic Boys and Mental Health. The Department of Gender Affairs held its closing ceremony for the fish pot making workshop on Saturday 27th May at the Jessup Plain Field. The workshop was held in collaboration with the Department of Marine Resources and the Jessup Cotton Ground Barnsgut Fisher Association. 19 participants successfully graduated. Now, this cohort included both males and females. Most importantly, what we have been encouraging one or several of these young persons to do is to start a business doing fish pots. We know the tradition in Nevis is that the fishermen have to go, they get fish pot wire, they get the bracing sticks, they make the pots, then they go out. We are saying that there could be a market for someone to do all of that, and then the fishermen simply buy the fish pots from this person. So we're encouraging young entrepreneurs to start this business, and that's why we're providing the training, so that they can go and start a business. So just how you go by Rams and you pick up what you need for your business, if you're in the food business, so you go and you pick up what you need in terms of the fish pots ready-made for the fishermen. So we're hopeful that this translates into something of that nature. We want to say thank you for a generous donation of US $5,000 from Mr. and Mrs. Lane Fawncook of the United States. They visit Nevis on a regular basis. They express their interest in care of the most vulnerable in our society and made this generous donation to the Social Services Department. We say thank you to them for that donation. The Social Services Department would have had a closing ceremony on Thursday, 25th May, to mark the successful completion by 15 individuals of a 6-week training course in basic social work. The training was conducted by expert staff in the department, and participants included junior and recent staff of the Gender Affairs Department, as well as other interested individuals. Now, a very important announcement. The Family and Probation Division of the Social Services Department, which assumes responsibility for foster care services. Did you know that we have foster care services in Nevis? We do. They recently celebrated Foster Care Month with a series of activities highlighting the role of foster parents and the need for foster parents in Nevis and the various processes of becoming one. The month tried to raise awareness, and we had a number of activities. Persons interested in registering and being screened to become foster parents in Nevis are encouraged to visit the Family and Probation offices located in Government Road. Ladies and gentlemen, that brings me to the end of the particularly long statement by me this morning. I've taken just over an hour, and so I now invite questions on any matter that I would have raised or on any other matter that persons would wish to ask.
Good morning to all who are here this morning, and especially to you, Mr. Premier.
Good morning.
Shamika Bajin of Vaughan Radio. Mr. Premier, can we get an update on the peace program? Is it still ongoing? The federal government spoke a few months ago about having a bi-weekly payment schedule for government workers. Will the NIA be on board with this new and upcoming plan? As it relates to the issue of Madden's water well number 1, which contributed to the need for scheduled water rationing some weeks ago, can an update be provided on the status of that well? What is the current status of the NIA's broiler facility initiative? Question 4. Can you give a comment on the progress of the MEMS worker that was shot during the robbery earlier this month? Is it possible to disclose what exactly was spent on the Alexandra Hospital's wing? We were to receive a report surrounding that, so we would just like an update. We have received reports that the Charleston Police Station has mold in it. Is the NIA aware of this situation? And if so, when will this be addressed? And Mr. Premier, you previously mentioned that the CSS students that were involved in an altercation last week at the school, that they are suspended. But will these students be able to set their exams, as we know that this is the examination period? And how long will these students be suspended for? Thank you.
I want to thank you very much for your questions. I'm quickly going through my notes. You know what, I probably will not be able to find it, but you asked a couple of questions. Let me try to dispense with those a bit more quickly. You asked about the broiler facility initiative, and I did speak to that when I made my presentation, that we now have the equipment, and I gave an update in relation to that equipment. So we have the equipment now on island. I indicated that the equipment is on island. The equipment came at an investment of $286,600 US, and that equipment, the fully assembled processing line, it has a capacity to process 700 to 800 birds per hour. It has a spin chiller and an auto carousel cutting line to make chicken parts, allowing us to get breasts, wings, legs, thighs, and drumsticks. So that equipment is now on island. So I did say that in my introduction. You asked about the Alexandra Hospital. That's what I was going through, because I recall very vividly coming here and giving that report already. I don't have the number to hand today, but I did come because recall there was some controversy that the Minister for Health, the Honorable Janelle Nisbet, had given one figure in the budget debates in February, and that figure proved to be an incorrect figure. And so I had in fact come and shared the accurate figure with the press subsequent to that. But I regret I don't have that number with me today. I'm being assisted here. Okay, so the number that I am being given now is $17,210,820.74. That is what we've spent thus far. And that was the corrected number. Having had some disputes as to what the numbers were, we went and reconstructed. Remember, I had said that we had been delayed in getting this figure because of the hack that we had in our systems. But the staff at Alexandra Hospital were able to recreate, and the figure is $17,210,820.74, according to Ms. Hewlett, who is here from the government press service. So I'm hopeful that that number is accurate. But we did come and we did speak to that, Ms. Budgeon. The peace program, I have not heard that the program has been discontinued, so I assume that the program is ongoing. But I confess I have not had any update on the peace program for some time. And so that program, as you know, resides with the federal government and under the rubric of the Ministry of National Security. The federal government has talked about introducing a biweekly payment for government workers. The NIA has not followed suit. The NIA is and will continue to pay as it is currently paying. Some workers do get paid weekly, who are weekly wage earners, and those who are being paid monthly will continue to be paid monthly. There's a practical reason for it from the NIA point of view. when we look at our revenue flow, most of our revenue comes in at a particular period towards the end of the month. So it makes it easier for us to operate on those lines and along those lines. So we are hopeful that we can continue to pay as we have been paying. We haven't had any complaints from our workers, and so we will persist in what currently exists. The Madden's water well is back online, and that clearly we have seen some relief in recent days. We have had some rainfall. I continue to encourage the public to pray for rain because we need more. But the Madden's well is back, and as a consequence, the pressure that was on the system has been temporarily relieved to some extent. We have, however, determined that we need additional water, and to that end, the Cabinet has given instructions that we aggressively pursue the drilling of some additional wells. We've already identified the areas. It's just now to get the wells done. As I indicated publicly before, we had made a commitment to have an additional 3 wells done at a global cost of 10 million EC dollars back in 2017. In fact, it was in August of 2017 that we paid to a company called BEAD just over 2 million EC dollars as a down payment. BEAD has never come to do the work for the government. And so we don't have our $2 million and we don't have any wells. We have decided to take legal action against BEAD. That is ongoing. But we continue to pursue other avenues to resolve that dispute and that difficulty. So it has not been for want of trying in relation to water. In fact, as you know, this government invested in a water treatment facility at Hamilton, which was able to give us an additional 300,000 gallons a day in terms of our water supply. Unfortunately, that has proven not to be enough. We have suffered this year from a number of circumstances. One, of course, we had the failure at the Madden's well, which knocked out a significant bit of our supply during that period when we had to be rationing water, and created some alarm on the island during that one day that we had that difficulty. The Four Seasons Resort and the hotel industry generally has been reporting unusually high occupancy numbers at this time of year. In fact, the Four Seasons is telling us that they're going to have good occupancy down into August now. It was July initially, they're now saying into August. That is unprecedented. So ordinarily at this time of year, the water system would get a bit of relief because there would be less demand from the major hotels. But that has not been the case this year because of the robust demand on those hotels. So that's good for us in the sense that, of course, those working in the industry are making some money. The government is collecting some taxes, but it is bad in the sense that the demands on the water supply continue. So we continue to pray for rain, and we hope that we'll be able to bring some longer lasting relief in terms of our well drilling campaign. I should also report that the works in relation to the desalination plant have already started. I believe a company from St. Kitts, Kelly Construction, has been contracted. And that, of course, is a pilot project designed, one for St. Kitts and one for Nevis. In fact, I'm quite proud. This was something that I negotiated when I was foreign minister with the government of the United Arab Emirates. And it has taken a long time, but we are told that it is now happening. The site for this one in Nevis is going to be in the Butlers area, and there's a site identified in St. Kitts already. Desalination would be the perfect solution for water, bearing in mind that we're surrounded by ocean. The problem with desalination, it is incredibly high maintenance, and then the cost of electricity renders the process very expensive. We have had at least 2 proposals to the government for private companies to come in and do desal. And let me just say to the Nivision public that if we went in that direction, the cost of water would have to be multiplied times 5 in order for us just to be able to pay. So we are not quite ready to take that leap until such time as we can get geothermal on board and cheaper energy, which then desal becomes a perfect solution. So in the meantime, we hope to drill some wells and continue in the vein that we are pursuing. But we continue, of course, to encourage people to conserve water and be sensible in their use of this very scarce and very important resource, which, by the way, in Nevis is still too cheap. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's true. And I make the case all the time that 1,000 gallons of water in Nevis costs 13 EC dollars. 1,000 gallons costs 13 EC dollars. And up to 3,000 gallons, you continue to pay 13 EC dollars per 1,000 gallons. So if you consume 3,000 gallons of water for the month, you pay 39 EC dollars. I want, because I think the visual is good. This bottle of water, when we go out, we pay 5 EC dollars for this. 5 EC dollars. This has in 16.9 fluid ounces. I'm told a gallon has 100 and, my math isn't the best, but I think it's 186 fluid ounces in a gallon. I hope I'm correct on that. This has 16, but we pay 5 EC dollars for this. And we don't complain. We're paying 13 EC dollars for 1,000 gallons. If I'm correct, that 1 gallon is 180 something fluid ounces. It means that 1 gallon of water can fill 10 of these. 128. So my math is incorrect. Let me correct it. 128 fluid ounces, I'm told, makes up a gallon. If that is accurate, then we can, from 1 gallon of water, fill 8 of these, or thereabouts. 1 gallon. It means that from 1,000 gallons, we can potentially do 8,000 of these. Multiply 8,000 by $5. $40,000 that this water company can potentially make if they get 1,000 gallons of water from the government at $13. Of course, it's not a perfect math because you have the bottle, you have the labor, you have the electric, you have all the things that go into it. But I'm just using it for illustration purposes to say that the water in Nevis is very cheap. And I think as a result, where people will make sure to turn off their lights, turn off the AC, don't let it run all day. People have leaks and leaky faucets and toilets, they let it run all day, all night because water is so cheap. So this is something that we will be looking at because we want people to pay attention that water is a critical resource. The progress of the MEMS worker who was unfortunately injured in that terrible crime committed at that establishment. The last I heard was that she was still in hospital. She has been airlifted to the Dominican Republic, and at one point I gather she was in a coma. She has recovered from that, but I have no further update. I have not been updated in the last 2 days, and so I can't say more than that. But as of 2 days ago, that was the report that I had. The Charleston Police Station and mold, we are well aware of the problems at the Charleston Police Station. In fact, I can tell you that the contracts have already been signed for the work to be done, construction work. The work should commence very shortly. And the new Commissioner of Police has confirmed that that work should proceed very shortly. It's being, of course, done by the federal government. And that was the last information that I had in relation to Charlestown. Students that were suspended, you asked about their exams and how long they've been suspended for. I cannot answer that. I have given you the report that came to me from the principal that they have been suspended, but that the investigation is ongoing. So I would anticipate that we will have more information as we move forward. Remember, this incident would have happened, and then almost immediately we had a long weekend. And so I'm sure that they'll be back at it this week to determine what is the best course of action to ensure that these types of events do not happen in the future.
Thank you for your responses, Premier. Still on the peace program. How many persons on Nevis that are on that program currently, and what are their current salaries for those persons on the program? That's it for me. Thank you.
I hate to answer you this way, but I do not know. I do not know how many people on the program, and I do not know what their current salaries are. Again, this is a program that is administered in Bastille. It is not a Nevis program. It is a program that is run from St. Kitts. It is administered from St. Kitts, and I would have to ask the necessary questions in order to come back to answer you in terms of how many people and what the salaries are like. I do know that there are different categories because some people are supervisors, some are ordinary workers, but I do not want to give misleading information. So I can't tell you how many people currently, nor can I tell you what those salaries are, but I can commit to getting that information to you.
Good morning, Mr. Premier.
Good morning.
We've been hearing a lot about a number
Who are you?
of
Who are
business.
you?
Oh, sorry. LK Hewlett, Department of Information. We've been hearing a lot about new businesses opening across Nevis, and some people are still saying nothing happening. Do we see this local investment as overall investment? So therefore, what does it speak to the climate, the investment climate on Nevis itself? In terms of the water, I know in St. Kitts they had, I think it's enshrined in the planning laws that new homes be built with cisterns or portable water tanks. Is that the same for Nevis, and will that be enforced in light of the water situation? Also, Mr. Devon Cornelius of WINNMedia would have asked, well, he asked about the desalination plant, which you already covered, and he also asked about the recent comments by Prime Minister Drew about setting up a committee to work out the revenue sharing between St. Kitts and Nevis as it relates to the CBI funds. What steps, he asked, what steps has Nevis taken in this regard? Thanks.
Okay, thank you very much, Ms. Hewlett. Business is opening and people say nothing is happening. I don't know who the people are, because I think that even Stevie Wonder, who we know is blind, if he were to come, will see what is happening on the island of Nevis. A road infrastructure, investment in water, investment in healthcare, you name it, it has been happening on this island. At the hospital, we have invested, we have a brand new CT scan there, first in the island. Mammogram, first in the island. We just announced that the mammogram service is going to be free for the rest of this year. We have continued to invest in terms of our doctors. I got a notification short while ago from the PSN Health, who indicated that we have 25 doctors employed to the NIA. 25, including several specialists. And we're in the process now of recruiting a radiologist and an additional surgeon. So we continue to invest in a significant way. And I don't understand why there are some who continue to deny what is obvious. If the claim by the naysayers is that they can do a better job, that's fair. That's fair. But the continued suggestion that nothing is happening in the face of the overwhelming evidence to the contrary is really, I can't even say it's misleading. It is almost criminal for people to say things like that. On the business front, the call center in Brown Hill has reopened. Radius has come and they've reopened that facility. That facility is already functional. They indicated to us that they hope to get up to 50 employees as a start, and then ultimately, if business grows, they want to get up to 325 in terms of employees. We have some young people who were saying they were looking for work, and so we've said that's an option for some. We have at the beach here at Pinner's, Total Time, the restaurant, well known to all of us, they've just reopened. Brand new facility. Prior to them, we had Zanzibar that has opened in Nevis. They are quite popular in St. Kitts. They've come over, they've opened there as well. We have another call center which is committed to come, smaller operation, but they've committed to come, and we hope are going to be here soon. We are in discussions with an AI, artificial intelligence prompt center, similar to a call center setup, but we are hopeful that they will be coming on board soon. We have 869, the sports bar and grill that I mentioned that had a grand opening this weekend. We have so many new businesses, so many young entrepreneurs getting involved. I am at a loss to understand why there is this doom and gloom that is being spread. I mentioned, for example, that the Four Seasons and the hotel sector is seeing unprecedented business. We are now at the end of May. Ordinarily, occupancy at this time of year is 10 and 15%. Occupancy is still hovering at above 70%, some of these properties. Four Seasons is telling us that they already have a buyout for the month of November this year. So the business is growing. And when these hotels are doing well, who benefits? They benefit, to be sure, but also the workers, because we all know that at this time of year, workers start to get fewer hours, fewer days. You know the complaint I'm getting from my constituents now? They can't get a break. They can't get a break because they are seeing that level of occupancy that is keeping them busy. That's good for us and good for the island. The other day we had water woes which lasted a day. A press release went out inadvertently. Language had not been vetted, but it said that water would be off from the Thursday until further notice. And one would have thought that Armageddon had come to the island of Nevis. A friend called me from St. Kitts. He said he looking over and he hearing all the noise and he don't know what's going on because he live in Bird Rock and every night water go off in Bird Rock for the last how much years? He said, but I smiled because I said to myself, the fact that Nevisians are up in arms over losing water for one day tells me that things are good in Nevis. That we have become now so accustomed to things running smoothly that the slightest disruption, our people react. And that's a good thing. It speaks to the level of progress that we have made. A lot of people take it for granted. You turn on your tap and the water is there. You don't think twice about it. You flick the switch and the light is on. You don't think twice about it. But we have systematically invested to the point where our people know, once you see you flick that switch and there's no light, you see social media lights up in the island of Nevis. Why? Because people are accustomed to that now. The island has now progressed and developed to a point where our people are accustomed to things working and working properly. That's progress. And we have brought that to this island. No big set of fanfare, but our people are the beneficiaries. People go up to the hospital now, and if they can't see a doctor in 45 minutes, they start to cuss and carry on how long they had to wait up there. A friend of mine rang me from New York, city they say that never sleeps, and said sometimes in your emergency room there, you go there, you spend hours, 5 and 6 hours to see someone. The other day I'm told that there was a whole program on radio from the opposition talking about a pothole that existed on some one of the roads here. A pothole. But potholes must happen when rains fall and the asphalt gets eroded. It will happen. And you know, I don't listen to these programs because I try to ignore as much noise as I can. But it's a friend of mine in New York who said to me, well, I listened to a whole program about a pothole in Nevis. And she said, I just wanted to send you these photos of some potholes outside on the street outside my apartment in New York. And I said, what? America have potholes? Can't be. It can't be. This is the richest country in the world. Because some of the noise that you're hearing, you're wondering, why? Why? You know, we had a situation where the Madden's pump went down. The Madden's well went down, I'm sorry. As a consequence, we ended up with some difficulty. Now, we understand that these things happen. If an engine at the power plant right now goes down, we understand that there may be difficulty. But those are not excuses for saying that nothing has been happening. If you have 364 days of good power and one day when there's a disruption because of some difficulty. We are an island, and I think that we need to be sensible and pragmatic in terms of what we say and what we're doing. So I'm very happy, Ms. Hewlett, that the business environment in Nevis, particularly small businesses, that it's picking up. We feel that businesses are doing well, and we continue to encourage our people to invest. As Mr. Rollins had invested in the 869 and the gas station, and he has a lot more he says he's going to be doing this. He told me he's very busy creating a whole, what they're saying now in Gingerland, that they want the town to be in Gingerland, and they want to ensure that people from Gingerland don't have to come. So things like a pharmacy and all of those things that they're hoping to put there. So I encourage them. And the Honorable Eric Evelyn was pleased as punch, because this is happening, of course, in his beloved Gingerland. So businesses are opening. The water issue, you asked about new homes. I think is a very important question. The planning laws in Nevis require that new homes have a cistern or some water storage facility. Now, here's the dilemma. As we all know, the government, through the Nevis Housing and Land Development Corporation, has been trying its best to deliver affordable housing to our people. The calculations that have come, I'm advised, suggest that if we were to adhere to the strict requirements of the planning ordinance in Nevis and demand that every home has a cistern, then that would potentially put some of the affordable homes out of the reach of many of our people. And so, what has happened is that we have had large developments done under the NRP in Cherry Gardens and under the CCM over at Maddens, where, for the most part, no cisterns are included. And that has been part of the problem, because all of those homes are hooked up to the government supply of water. So those homes, all of those housing developments are adding to the pressure on the water system. And no alleviation comes from them, for the most part, having water storage. It is a dilemma, and we are struggling with it as policymakers, because do we say, well, all right, you'll have to pay an extra $30,000 in order to get a cistern for each of those homes, so that a home that is currently $300,000, $270,000 will now become $300,000, as the case may be? Or do we try to forego that cost and build homes without the cistern, and then we lead now to this other problem where there's increased demand on the water supply? Now, it may not prove to be an issue if we can access more water. And that is what, as I said earlier, we are seeking to do. But currently, it is an issue. And I'm told that the planning department has already said that they will require all plans now to have a cistern. So we are, as government, having that discussion internally to determine what is the best way to go about it. You said that young Cornelius asked some questions about PM Drew and a committee for revenue sharing. I would have indicated prior in these press conferences that we've already nominated our members to that committee. 3 members we put forward, led by the Honorable Troy Liebert. So we've already sent that information to the federal government, and we wait on them to activate and to get this going. Are there any other questions for me?
Good morning, Premier Brantley.
Good morning.
Glenn Bart from SKN News 9. First of all, can you just clarify the issue with the desalination plant? I remember some time ago when you were part of the Team Unity administration, and as you just indicated that when you were Minister of Foreign Affairs, that you did facilitate these 2 desalination plants coming to St. Kitts and Nevis. But I think you had indicated that they were supposed to be solar powered.
Yes.
Is that the case still, or has it been changed?
As far as I understand, the plants are pilot projects. They're supposed to be solar powered, and the idea behind them being solar powered is really to solve the problem of the high cost of electricity. So the reason why we wanted these two plants as pilot projects was to determine if that proved to be an efficacious way to deal with the issue of getting additional water into the system. So they want to do these two plants as pilot projects. The last iteration I saw of the project, they're saying that there's an option to have some solar and some regular diesel power. And apparently if you have that combination, you can get more water because it allows the plant, I suppose, to function at a faster rate. But the initial concept, and the concept which I prefer as Premier, is to have the plant powered by solar. So it will be a self-contained type of plant, and that is what made it attractive to us in the first place.
Okay. My two other questions then. The first one refers to NCDs. On Nevis, what has been the impact of based on the prevalence of NCDs on the island on productivity in the public and private sector? Do we have any studies on that, or any notion as to what's happening on the ground? Secondly, on the geothermal project, I don't know if you spoke about it, but can you just give me a quick update on what's happening and what's going to happen for the rest of the year?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Bart. Short answer on the issue of studies on productivity loss, we don't have a study as far as I'm aware. But it's an important study that ought to be done. We do know that the incidence of NCDs, non-communicable diseases, diabetes, hypertension, cancers, obesity, things of that nature, that they are far too high. In fact, I've heard it described, not just for St. Kitts Nevis, but in our region, as our own pandemic. It is something that really has devastated our region for a very long time. What the reasons for that might be, I don't know. Are black people more inclined to have these diseases? Do we have a predisposition to these types of diseases? Some say it's our diet in the Caribbean. You know, we eat a lot of rice and cook up. If you're like me, I like things like that, fried fish, fried chicken, things that are not the best for us. We are being encouraged all the time to get up, get out, get moving, because many of us have a sedentary lifestyle, which, you know, means that we're sitting around. Particularly our kids nowadays, they're on these devices, their phones, their iPads. They don't move unless they absolutely have to. And sometimes I feel the house could be burning. If they're on their iPad playing a game, they wouldn't want to move. So getting your children out now to the parks, getting them to the playgrounds, and getting them that physical exercise. Things that in our youth we used to do because there were no alternatives for entertainment. So we went and played football and basketball and whatever else we could, climbed trees and ran races with each other and did those things. The children now have lots of toys that keep them busy. And you know, you could look at things like TikTok and YouTube and things like that for hours on end in terms of the entertainment that they deliver. So we have to treat with all of those, and that's why I continue to commend the Health Promotion Unit for the efforts that they're making in Nevis. But we have established, and science has established, that if we were to tweak our diets to eat better, if we were to engage in moderate exercise regularly, that we could reduce the incidence of these diseases. And so we want to encourage our people to do so. Short answer to your question, however, is clearly we feel it has an impact on productivity. People are missing work. It comes at a significant cost to the government to provide drugs to treat hypertension and diabetes. Those are provided through our clinics. We have a system that provides those drugs to our people. And of course, in those who have advanced renal failure, for example, as a consequence of these NCDs, we have the high cost of treatment via dialysis. And dialysis, we know, has been reduced. I believe now it's somewhere around $400 per treatment, but it used to be $800. But regardless of that, if you still contemplate $400 per treatment, 3 treatments per week, that's $1,200 per week. And most of us would never be able to afford $1,200 every single week for the treatment of dialysis to keep us alive. And as I understand it, the kidneys aren't cured. So it's either you get a transplant or you have to be on dialysis for the rest of your life. So we're talking about long-term care that adds up in terms of the costs. And that is really why we continue to urge our people to change their lifestyle. NCDs are referred to as lifestyle diseases. And if we change that lifestyle, we can make a real difference. So I don't have a productivity study, but I would think that the logic of so many people suffering from these diseases would suggest that we're losing time in the workplace and therefore losing productivity. The geothermal project, we had a meeting last week. I would want to think it was Monday on this with NEVLEC, which is the executing agency, and the bidding process has come to a close. I'm advised that over 30 companies expressed an interest in the project. But NEVLEC has explained that initially when they put it out to tender, they put it out in parts. Let me try to explain it this way. If we're doing this building that we're now in, rather than putting out a tender for the entire building, they put out a tender for the foundation, for the block work, for the roof, for the air conditioning, for the electrical, etc. Different pieces. And so they said they had 4 different components for the project that they put out. And therefore, the 30-plus companies, some of them were specialists in only one of those areas. So, for example, going back to the example I used for this building, some people showed interest, say, well, okay, we do roofs, or we do AC. So they showed an interest in the AC component of it. They later changed, that is NEVLEC, and they asked for a single bid on the entire project, on the understanding that whoever the successful bidder was could then subcontract out to others for various components. And a lot of those companies therefore fell away, because even though I'm a specialist in air conditioning, doesn't mean that I know how to do foundation or the roof. So this sort of reduced the number considerably. And I'm told that at the end, 3 companies bid on the entire project. They're evaluating these bids, and we hope to have a result, I'm told, by the 30th of June. That's the date that they've given to me in terms of completing the evaluation and having a position that we could come to the public with in relation to that. We are told that they're looking at drill rigs, and that we know that some drill rigs are available. One rig that we're aware of could be available as early as December, and another available as early as January in the coming year. And so we anticipate that if there's to be drilling, which we expect, that it won't happen until towards the end of this year. Having said that, Mr. Bart, I would want the public to understand that there's some work to be done. There's some lands in the area to be acquired. There's some road works to be done to put in the road, because when the drill rig comes, it will need to be able to traverse a particular pathway to get to the site. And then those individuals who have lands in the immediate vicinity of the drilling, we're trying to acquire those lands so as to make them a part of the project, as opposed to having people having lands right next to the project. Those lands in terms of noise and drilling and all the, what comes from drilling, we feel that it would be better for those lands to be in the possession of government. And so we're trying to negotiate now with the landowners to acquire those lands in that immediate vicinity. And we're talking about the Hamilton area. So those landowners have been contacted, negotiations are ongoing with them. The third piece of that puzzle is water, because the drilling is going to require additional water. So when I spoke to water earlier, I spoke to water in the context of our water supply for our consumption, but we're also going to have to get additional water for the drilling. And so we are hoping to start drilling for water very soon to feed into that timeline as well. But when we drill, the drilling for water is going to satisfy both the geothermal project and the water needs for the people of Nevis. Bear in mind that we have invested significantly in Nevis in a massive upgrade for our storage and distribution of water. So we had a massive project. If you go around the island, you see these massive tanks, new tanks, and we have upgraded all of the infrastructure. So in Nevis now you don't get what people used to get, where you just get a low pressure, so you get a low trickle of water. That doesn't happen anymore. And wherever we're doing roads on the island, we upgrade the water infrastructure at the same time. So Bath Village, Butlers, all of those projects, we've upgraded the water infrastructure. But upgrading your distribution and storage doesn't answer the question of additional water. So we tried to answer that initially with the treatment plant at Hamilton. That has not proven enough. So we are now going to go to other wells plus the small desal plant, which, as I said, is a pilot project. Any more questions for me? No? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being here. We'd usually try to finish by midday, and you've kept me well within that time. So thank you very much. We look forward to our next engagement, which we hope would be next month in the month of June. Thank you. God bless you.
found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance.